The National Party has chosen Christopher Luxon to rescue it out of the political weeds. So can he and Deputy Nicola Willis reset the party and bring back voter confidence? Joining us now for an extended interview is the man himself, National Party leader Christopher Luxon. Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you. Congratulations. How are you feeling?
Oh, fantastic! It was a fun day yesterday, and but now the real work begins, and so no, I'm looking forward to getting into it.
Certainly does. Iwi roadblocks in Northland, should they be allowed?
Well, look, I think that's quite an interesting development, isn't it, overnight? I think there's ongoing conversations with the hapu involved. But, you know, we've got a lot of tourism businesses there. We've got a lot of people who've worked really hard to try and keep their customers safe. And we know that that's a place that New Zealanders want to go holiday in. And we've got release of borders. So I think that's an issue that does need to be cleared up.
OK, what would you do? Jacinda's taken a hands-off approach here. She's saying it's up to the iwi and police.
Well, at the moment, there are ongoing conversations with hapu, and I think that local community is wanting to resolve that issue. So I think we should let that play out, but it's about monitoring that over the wee while.
So you'd stay out of it too?
Just for now, you know, we'll monitor it closely because I think there's some inconsistency there. We're going to release a border from Auckland, but you can't go to the Bay of Islands, and that issue does need to get resolved.
You would have seen a lot in the news in the last few days about gun crime, particularly in Auckland. Should the police be armed?
Well, again, I think that is a big issue. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Every week we're seeing crime around guns. It's getting more violent. I think a lot of it's been driven by gangs, clearly. And again, that is a decision ultimately for the police to make. But, you know, the Police Association and the police themselves, that's something that they should be thinking about for sure. Yeah,
so, I mean, this is the line the government's taken. Although Poto Williams, Police Minister, has said that she's never going to be in favour of the police being armed. You can have a view on it as the leader of the National Party. You know, if a cop wants a gun, would you get in their way?
Well, I think that's a decision ultimately for the police. But what I would say to you is the police need to listen very closely to the frontline officers because it is alarming that each and every week we're getting more and more gun crime.
So you're saying that, and 75% of cops want one, you're saying police need to listen to that message, and they're not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm not saying they're not, but I'm saying that that's a decision for the police to ultimately make. If the frontline police officers are feeling that they need it, that's something they should listen to and they should action.
We've just had an update this morning on house prices. I mean, you know this. This is a story we've been talking about for a very long time. In Wellington yesterday, actually, they announced a 60% increase over the last 3 years in house prices. The average house price is 60% in our capital city. Would you want house prices to fall under your leadership?
Well, look, I mean, I think the reality is that, you know, we first of all need to get, you know, free up consenting. We need to be able to build more houses. That requires some expansion. It's going to require some intensification in our cities. And then as you see interest rates start to rise, I think over the middle of next year you will start to see house prices stabilise and maybe even fall for a bit. But, you know, at the end of the day, we've really got to, you know, free up and build more houses. That's a supply-driven issue, and that's really what's got to happen.
That wasn't really the question, though, was it? Would you want to see house prices fall if you were Prime Minister? Would you be a Prime Minister that oversaw a reduction in house prices and be happy with it?
Well, I wouldn't want to see house prices fall dramatically, but there might be a period of time where house prices do come back, as there has been over the last 30 years, and that's purely because what's happening in the market, and it's about supply and demand. And so, you know, what we really need to do is stabilise house prices, build more houses, and actually at the same time work very hard on building a much more productive economy that drives higher incomes.
This is the same answer Jacinda Ardern gives us. What's different about you?
Well, I can tell you what is different is that there is a lot of PR and spin. You know, there is it from this government, and we actually now need to focus on the problems and actually work them through and actually get those results and do that through people. And that's really a big part of what we've got to do. Yeah, here's a good example. You know, we're going to go to a vaccine pass on Friday. We've got thousands of New Zealanders that have returned over the last year or so. They may have got their vaccination overseas, and they can't now activate their vaccine pass to get down to restaurants that will open up on Friday. So that everything's been a bit rushed. We've got no more ICU beds that have been built in the last year, and yet we've got a big pandemic that we're trying to manage and actually de-risk. And so, There's just our issue is that, there's a lot of execution that's not getting done, and things aren't, as organised as they need to be. Again, MIQ spots, we've been talking about it for a long time, but, we've got 35 people in 4,000 rooms with COVID, and those are spaces that could be set up for, 1 million returning Kiwis from overseas.
All right, so you've given the example of the, the MIQ spots. You've given a couple of examples there. Can you give us something concrete that you would change? I mean, ICU beds, for example, how many would you add? How many do we need?
Well, look, you want to actually de-risk and prepare for the future very clearly, right? And so if you look at a place like New South Wales, I think they initially doubled their ICU bed capacity, and then I think they doubled it again. And so, either you're serious about sort of de-risking this thing or not. If you just take, COVID, the things that we'd be doing differently would have been, well, first and foremost, you'd want to get the vaccine rollout having done faster, so we wouldn't have been in lockdown in Auckland for that period of time. We've talked a lot about antigen testing and saliva testing since September last year. And now it's only just starting to come together and happen. We've talked about ICU beds. Have we got boosters organised? Have we got treatments organised? It's coming, but it's always coming, Johnny come lately. And I think, you'd want to be on the phone every day at 4 p.m. and saying, right, how many extra ICU beds have I got built in place?
You'd want to double the number.
That's the level of...
You'd want to double the number?
Well, yeah, I would. Because,
okay.
Yeah, well, I would, because I'd want capacity. Yeah, and it's just capacity to say you actually future-proof, your plans, and that's really what it's about. All
right, let's talk. A lot of people talk about your religion and the. Are you anti-abortion? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think all it is. I'm a pro-life person, so I don't support abortion or euthanasia or the death penalty.
Do you think it's murder? Do you think abortion's murder?
Well, look, I hold a view that it's a pro-life decision. If you look at my colleague and my friend Nicola Willis, she has a pro-choice decision. I think the reality is there are New Zealanders that have those views, pro-life or pro-choice. But actually we can hold different views and be respectful of each other as a consequence. I
know, but it's quite an extreme view to think it's murder.
No, I'm not going there, to be honest, Ryan. I just have a view that I'm just pro-life. That's all it is. It's as simple as that.
Can you, because this is going to, I'm sure it's going to keep coming up. Those on the left and the media and whatnot will keep talking about it. So can we take this off the table this morning? Can you just say you won't touch abortion laws while you're Prime Minister?
Absolutely. That was settled in the last Parliament, and that's settled.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Let's move on then. Beneficiaries. This was a target for John Key. He wanted a reduction. He set a target reduction in the number of long-term beneficiaries. And your party had a crack at this in April this year, saying the numbers were tracking upwards. Would you set a target to get that down?
Yeah, we would set a target. I don't know what that would be right now. You've got to appreciate it's just 24 hours since I was selected as leader. But the real point here is that we've got just under 4% unemployment. So the economy is really pumping. There's a lot of skill shortages there. And when you've got people, beneficiaries that then are on long-term beneficiaries, and that's increasing, the real problem is actually, or the real issue is how do we actually, help those people get out of dependence to independence? And so what are we doing to help them get work ready and transition into the workforce? Because on one hand, you've got real big skill shortages, labour shortages, and on the other hand, you've got rising number of long-term beneficiaries. And so we have to actually help those people transition into work. That's the best path to prosperity for them. All
right. We are talking to Christopher Luxon, who's the new National Party leader. Have you spoken to Jacinda Ardern yet? Have you guys chatted?
We haven't, actually. No, we haven't. But I am hoping today to make some calls to all the parliamentary leaders to make sure we've got some good relationships in place.
Yeah, reach out and say hello. Do you know when we're going to hear about your shadow cabinet? By Friday, by Sunday? Can you give us an idea of a timeline?
Yeah, sure. Look, I think we've got a great team there. We've got 33 people, lots of different talents and experiences. We want to make sure we've got the person mapped up to the right task that we've got for them. And I hope to have all of that in place by Sunday evening. Sunday evening. All right. So we'll hear about it Monday morning. Or Sunday night, I suppose. Yeah, Sunday or Monday. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good to know. Hey, I want to play something for you now, Chris. This is something you mentioned in an interview yesterday. Your favourite, or I think it was your anthem song. Everybody...
My anthem song?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Have a listen to this.
Yeah.
I went skydiving.
Oh, yeah. Classic. Now, I'm so embarrassing myself, right?
Yeah, you are.
Not at all.
Yeah,
Christopher, I love country.
I've got to explain myself, guys.
Paint us a picture.
8 years in America. Is it? Yeah, no, I mean, I had 8 years living in America and I just got a bit sick of hip-hop after a while. And in America, they sort of have endless country music stations, and I just got into it that way. So I apologise to all New Zealanders. I know it's not cool, but it is what it is.
No, look, you do you, Chris, honestly. But paint us a picture. Is that what you do to unwind at the end of a stressful day? Because I know you're not big on booze. You're not a drinker. What do you do to unwind? Would you, sit down and put some Tim McGraw on?
Yeah, no, I just love all sorts of music, to be honest. So I've just been a big music fan for a long time. It's sort of one of the things that sort of fills the bottle up after you sort of had a big day. And particularly with my daughter, who's a bit of a musician, and we just horse around and listen to lots of different music. So that's one of the things I do. I really love what I love. I love water skiing, and I've got an old classic Riley Alpha, a little 1960s Mini, and I like sort of doing a bit of DIY projects around the place as well.
Do you have a cowboy hat or boots?
I got given a cowboy hat, actually, from the Mayor of Houston when I flew to, when we actually launched services for New Zealand to the States, but it's in a box somewhere. So I haven't got it on, but if you'd like me to, Ryan, I could. It could cover up sort of my missing hair, if that was helpful for you. I can wear it next interview if you want.
Oh, absolutely. Next time, bring the hat. Make sure you do. Hey, you mentioned water skiing. Mark and I are actually going to be going out water skiing. When are you coming back to Auckland?
Well, I'm hoping to get back there on the weekend, actually. Looking forward to getting back because I've been down here in Wellington for the last 2 weeks.
Have we got an exciting proposition?
Are you guys a water skier, or are you a water skier yourself?
Yeah, so I water ski. Mark's got the jet ski, and we just need the paddles to actually stand on.
Yeah.
Do you have some? Do you have some water skis?
I've got some skis. I could lend them to you. No worries.
Yeah.
Yep.
We could film this,
because
driving
would be a bit of a problem.
You need to do some nice, soft, happy media. You know what I mean?
I think me driving works. It's quite a figurative sort of metaphor, really, for what the next few years are like, with me sort of pulling you along.
Yeah, and me falling flat on my face as you smash me over on the skis.
But I'll be there to pick you up and tow you along again. You know that.
And I'll be there to film the whole thing and put it on TV.
Yeah, exactly. When's your last day, Mark?
10th of December. You got a job for me, have you?
Right. Well, I know you're going to a job, I think, aren't you? So that's great.
Oh, I'm still open to better offers.
Yeah. No,
well, there wasn't one.
Nicely done, Chris.
Hey, Chris,
like
thanks.
A smiling assassin.
Thanks for coming on the show, Chris.
He is a hard talent to manage, isn't he, guys?
Yeah, he is.
He is, Chris.
This is very, very difficult.
The loudest yes came from our control room, actually.
Chris, we look forward to thank you. We look forward to seeing you in your cowboy hat next week. Christopher Luxon, the new National Party leader, with us this morning, leader of the opposition.